Fast forward, Onya, Mamma Kwaba, Embra Channel is or Hasi, a GH Politics Avenue. Podcast Russia training because big headlines. Na Jemre na EDB Exomo a Waxi. And idiom Yahoo Braxi Musi, and ED Kanya. The stress of which must subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell so mama share. Now fear for France or answer into Enkabi. Onya, and Asaman Kasi, Eastern region, a jet ho and Yasam Kotuakra. Na a year national anti illegal mining secretariat NIMOS itimi crack it down a illegal miners enyasem koto akra unia omo excavators a omo de kosisi de kwahihye wure mu nyina omutimi track excavators ni nyina ama me no kasai omo saka excavators na omo acheche nipa hodo bebre a omo ye garamsi essay insuo ni asase a onia enyasem koto akra omu ensa kanoma bebre abra omu chiwo mu no na at this point in time no Mr. Oxe young consumer na yenhwe ne ekọ ene de eba medax se wajemre e wo hasi aha GH Politics Avenue
have been on the crackdown again of illegal mining sites, this time around in the eastern region. Give you an update of what is happening right now here on Ghana Tonight on October 13th, that was yesterday, and the early part of this morning. The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, that's NIMOS Task Force, carried out a major operation targeting illegal mining activities in the eastern region. The operation focused on two main areas, Oda Nkwanta in the Brim Central Municipality and Akanting. Asaman Kesi. Acting on a tip-off from an informant, the task force first moved to Oda Nkwanta, where they discovered 3 excavators operating at an illegal mining site. That is the information that we have right now. And then also flowing from that, as at the time the team arrived, the miners fled the scene, abandoning personal belongings. 2 excavators at the scene as we speak, and that's what you're seeing in the video right now, and another concealed in a nearby bush. In fact, another excavator was concealed in a nearby bush that was discovered. Our Eastern Regional correspondent Yvonne Nikwe has been keeping tabs on this development. Yvonne, we're seeing the polluted river in this particular area. Tell us a bit more about this operation of NIMOS earlier today.
Well, Alfred, the NIMOS has begun operations in the Eastern region, as you rightly mentioned. Indeed, they've sent a signal for the operations in the Brim Central today that indeed they'll come at the illegal miners and those mining irresponsible, because for the Eastern region, over 20 districts are having mining issues in those districts, both those mining irresponsibly and those mining illegally. And so for them, they've touched base with Brim Central. They are ready to move to other districts to clamp down on them because we have lost our water bodies. The Brim River is gone, the Densu is gone, the Pratt is gone. As you speak, Chebi treatment plant is gone. It means that over thousands of residents cannot get water in the meantime until stability levels reduce to applicable levels for the Ghana Water Company Limited to resume operation. And so indeed, it's quite a devastating issue we're dealing with. We're hoping that the commitment from NIMOS as they begin this operation will continue to ensure that we're clamped up on them and we don't see them back on the field again when NADMO leaves the region, to ensure that there is sustainability of this exercise for us to, as it were, have our water back and then possibly get our forests back as well.
I see. Now, with the video that we got from you, it shows some of these illegal miners trying to conceal excavators in bushes, and then also now receiving some information ahead of time. A number of them fled this Galamsey site even before the NIMOS people, the NIMOS task force got in there. What does this tell you, especially because this is not the first time you are reporting of the miners running even before the task force gets in there? What's going on?
Well, that has been the modus operandi of these miners. They do have a lot of network around the communities. They engage their mining operations on the lorry station, bus stop, everywhere. They know who is entering the community or who is entering the forest for the very first time. And so they quickly get information to move out. Now, what they are doing is that now they don't move out alone. They take out the motorboard out of the excavators. And so you come, the excavator is there, but you cannot move it and you cannot take any other thing out of it. And so we're just hoping that 9 months will be a step ahead of them. We'll see more arrests, we'll see more prosecution, and we'll see people get into the law courts to be dealt with so that people will be deterred from these mining issues, because we're not getting it right. We still have the same issues coming at us again, but we need to deal with it very, very well. Otherwise, as we already know, we've lost our forest bodies, we've lost our water bodies, and we keep losing things that we might not be able to get back in the next 5 or 10 years. Otherwise, food security says as us. Already, we cannot get enough water for the demand that is it. And so it is a very serious issue we're dealing with. We're just hoping that we do get more arrests, and then 9 months, as it is continuing its work, gets it done effectively for us not to return back to be speaking about people westering arable lands, forests, cocoa farms, and all of that in the region.
It's an important point to make. And I bring in Richard Kumado, he's a security analyst. Mr. Kumado, so beyond this work that NIMOS is doing, they go to places, crack down, some of them are not arrested, they either get these people dispersed. When they move, after a week or two, we've seen in cases like Abrewa and Inkrang, the illegal miners are back doing their work. So beyond these crackdowns, momentarily, what should be done? What should be their thinking? Quickly.
I think they've taken notice, and when you look at it, there are 4 regions that has come to focus, and they are clearly keeping an eye on them. Eastern region, Ashanti region, Western region, and Central region. One of their strategies is to distract the activities of the Galamseyers and to prevent them from getting back to their places. When resources become fully available to the NIMOS frontliners, I'm very sure they will position a lot more members across strategic zones within these 4 particular regions, whilst they keep an eye on the overflow that comes from the northern part of Ghana. For now, predominantly they are moving with high levels of anonymous calls and informants. The issue about informants is that they can be productive, but they can also be misleading when some decided to play a double role. And I want to believe that the military officers, particularly in front of the NIMOS frontline, have taken notice of how they will get to the place and inappropriate miners would have left, or they will leave, and in their absence, they get back to the place. They are determined to flush them out. We just have to pray that the appropriate resources are provided to them as quickly as possible. That enables them a lot of mobility and enough of staying power. If they do not have a staying power, then the works become a little bit difficult for them. So I agree with you. They have had to take notice of that, and the strategy will have to be a bit more different.
And I do appreciate your thoughts on this. Thank you so much. Richard Kumado is a security analyst. This is Ghana Tonight. We're back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. Get into the matter.
Parliamentary seat on the ticket of the NPP, 2016, 2020, and then 2024 as well. Are you able to tell us some of the...
No, 208. I contested 208, the primaries.
But at least you tried 3 times.
And then 2020, I was disqualified, so I couldn't try. And then 2024.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were the major financial demands on you at the time?
I'll say that during the campaign, the delegates became like family. So some of them who were briefed, we helped them to buy coffins for the departed, dearly departed. So that's one. And then payments of school fees and general family and household bills.
How massive was that? Because you're looking at a whole constituency.
Yes, we are looking at a relationship with the delegates. So it was quite a lot. You know, every day you get all these calls saying hello to you, and then once in a while they chip in and ask for some support. But I guess my colleague here, who has recently won elections for Tamale
Central.
Congratulations, Honorable. Can give you some information. Because I'm a bit still now. Because
yes, but would you
my
say,
last time was 2024.
which is just last year.
January 2024. So I've answered you.
Yes,
Yeah.
but would you say that perhaps the financial bit influenced the outcome of that primary eventually?
I think in Ghana, as of now, the highest bidder always wins. I mean, the last elections we saw the primaries, the highest bidder always won.
So you're indirectly
Across party
saying
lines.
that it might have influenced your inability to go through.
It does. Now that is the norm. Now that is the norm.
So I'm coming to you, Professor Ali. Again, congratulations to you. Before the primary, of course, the circumstances were different for you, but there was that payment of, I mean, the forms, 5,000 cedis, I believe, 40,000 filing fee. That's in addition to perhaps monies that you have to give to the grassroots people for mobilization and filing at the Electoral Commission. What for you were the financial dynamics as well?
Thank you so much. Good evening to your viewers, and good evening to the people of Tamale Central, my constituency. I think, first of all, I want to start with the background that democracy is very expensive. It's an expensive enterprise, one. But two, politics and money is like Siamese twins. They are conjoined at a very critical point that if you are not careful and you want to separate them, you may undermine the entire democratic processes. But if you leave it to continue maybe in a certain direction, it could also cause a lot of harm. Now, politics is expensive in the sense that, specifically democratic or electoral politics, in the sense that the average voter is increasingly becoming more expansive to reach. And every election have cost dynamics or implications, including the fact that in our electoral politics now, we have to provide security. Provision of security for elections is very expensive.
Who has to provide that?
Definitely the state.
Okay.
Two, we build capacity of electoral officers that we use. And you know our electoral commission mostly relies so much on what? Part-time or temporary workers to be able to do that. We also remunerate those who do the work. And we are now in a digital world where digital infrastructure is also required. So all these things largely makes elections technically more expensive and our democracy. However, if we look at elections and money from this perspective, it is a necessary evil, and the bills usually come as part of government budget to run it. But when we look at money or monetary influence or inducement becoming the political tender to occupying a political office, then it becomes a serious, difficult challenge on the other hand. So the distinction I want to make is the fact that elections or democracy as a system of government is expensive, and a lot of resources are required to be able to run them. But the other bit of it is that where monetary inducement or influence or people's pocket becomes the political tender for them to occupy political office, it now becomes an offense and a crime, and a very difficult challenge that we must deal with. Over the years, the triggers of monetization in our politics, in the second way that I have defined it,
which is actually the concern of a lot of people.
Fantastic, is the fact that it's a demand and supply thing, to be honest with you. In most cases, maybe the electorates will demand it, and the politician or the office seeker is often willing to also supply.
You have gone through the system yourself. How bad is it in terms of the electorates themselves demanding? And you also, of course, your circumstances are different, willingly wanting to give because you want to be elected as the member of parliament for an area.
I think the issue of monetization in our politics has been a canker that has been with us for a very long time, not specifically on my campaign. And if you look at the work that the CDD and the Westminster Foundation for Democracy did, it points to just what my colleague has referred to. But I think the idea has to do with the fact that it is an issue of demand and supply, one, but also two, one of the serious drivers of this monetization has to do with what? Our delegate system. You know, we run a very narrow elections before the major elections. And people assume that because the delegate system is a very few group of kingmakers, it is very difficult for you to be able to pay your way out of that particular election and then win, especially in highly competitive constituencies where you know that the election is just the primaries. So when you are contesting, say, on the ticket of the NPP, say, in Ashanti region, or the ticket of the NDC, say, in Volta region, the actual election is the primaries and not the major elections. So you just have to transcend that. But there's also the idea that we have technically an election overload in our body politic, the electoral cycle overload. Like Kojo mentioned, you start with branch elections, you move to constituency level elections, you move to regional level elections. So even the primaries, because if I have an intention of contesting for a flag bearership in the political party, my electoral veto starts with who becomes what? The polling station officer or the branch executive of my party. And it rises up to who becomes what? The ward coordinator or the constituency executives, up to who becomes what? The regional executive and the national executive, because they all have a role to play.
So all of them will have to be sorted financially. That's what you're saying?
Not in all cases, but in majority of cases, the issue has to do with the fact that you want to win. And some of the delegates may demand that. And if you have your offer, where that becomes the norm of the game, it becomes very difficult for successful democracy to triumph.
I want to ask you this before I get the preliminary thought as well of Madam Mariada, and then we'll move on to really what we need to do to fix the problem. You talked about the fact that we have a delegate system that seems to kind of force people to behave in a particular way, i.e. being corrupt to pay their way out of the... in order to become what they want to be politically. But we also have electoral college in US, so it's not just Ghana that is, has that kind of privileged individuals who are going to select somebody.
I didn't say the delegate systems leads to people being corrupt. I said the delegate systems creates the impression that if you are able to win, especially in a highly competitive elections where the major election is the delegate or the primaries, then people see that it is very easy for you to be able to pay just a few group of people, if that's what they demand and you can afford, to be able to win. But the idea is that some political parties in this country even propose the reform of what? Expanding the electoral college system because they think the fewer the merrier. Or because they are very few, it's very easy thinking that you can pay them off. If it's a very large board of people, it becomes very costly to be able to do that. And you either stop doing it or you have to spend so much money to be able to do it. So there have been reforms in the past that seeks to expand the delegate system, even take out completely the delegate system, and allow the entire membership of the political party to vote in the primaries. And then subsequently, when you win, then you go and contest the elections. The challenges that has often associated with reforms like that is the fact that it makes the cost of elections very, very expensive, especially where it is in a competitive election. The first amount of spending you have to do is to try to win the primaries. And if the primaries is not a restrictive kind of processes like the delegate system, it means you are paying all your party members who are in good standing and are qualified to vote. Then after that, you now go and contest the main elections and you have to pay the entire constituency members again. So it doubles the cost of running elections. That has been the bane of reforms like that has been pushed in the past. But the understanding is also that if the delegate system is very narrow, it makes sense that people are able to pay them if they want to do that, to be able to emerge winners for the as parliamentary candidate and eventually contest the elections. So it's a kind of two-way game. The cost. So do we have to accept that politicians are willing to pay twice the cost of winning primaries and also national elections? If they do that, how are they going to pay back the cost that they have incurred? And that is tied to the issue of governance system and the kind of corrupt practices that usually emerges in a democracy. So there's a kind of relationship between the amount of money that is spent in winning a political position and then the likely practices that people who have eventually emerge victorious are likely going to engage in to be able to offset the debt that they had incurred.
And I will come back to you on that because I want to get the thoughts of Mariada, but I'm not sure you answered the question about how bad the situation is, because prior to you becoming a politician, and you're still lecturing actually, you have a lot of knowledge in this field as well. How bad is it? I just wanted to get your...
It is bad, Beatrice. It is very bad.
Madam Mariada, let me get your thoughts so far on what you yourself, Transparency International, Ghana Integrity Initiative, you've been able to gather. And Dr. Kojo Asante was earlier saying that the two institutions were even trying to find out how much it costs politicians and political parties, even in the last election alone, just on media adverts.
Thank you very much, Beatrice, and good evening to your viewers and listeners across the country, and also to say good evening to the other panelists, and congratulations to Prof. I would say that quantifying it, these are averages, as Kojo has mentioned, and we have tried in various elections to document abuse of state resources. Also, in 2024, we added the element of trying to document the cost elements, looking at the various instruments that are used for elections.
We a sema ho do timi ko so channel no so mama na wasese wo jemre e wa sei da sene so ba de no e de adom bi edom ye ne e besan hyiam na ya somo e kwan so nkoso kra ha e politics avenue.